This is the YouTube for the chapter on books. I have a lot to say about books. I bet you do as well, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. First, just an introduction and an overview of the effect that books have on us, period. Notice that one, books, letters, magazines are some of the most stored items in our My Museum of Me because some of us just have attachments to books. What can you say? I want to talk about that attachment and how you might curate it in such a way that if you had to lose that book, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And I'll be specific with some examples. But first of all, let's just talk about the lure of books, period. I find in our family, not all of us are readers, despite the fact that our mother was a big reader and a librarian. And it's hard to know exactly. But luckily for me, I was a big reader. And I can remember the exact moment when a book grabbed me in such a way that I just thought, oh my God, I had no idea a book could do that. And that was in 7th grade in Mrs. Brown's English class. And it was John Steinbeck's The Pearl. And if you've not read it, I encourage you to. But if you have read it, you know exactly what I'm saying. The simplicity of the story, the power of the story, of the pearl diver and all the troubles that he and his wife have. Just an incredible thin book, but it was very, very real, very moving. And I just thought, and it was all fiction. It's like, how can a guy do that with fiction? So I could go on and on about that book. I won't, other than to say that for me, it was when I was 7th grade in George Marshall Junior High School. And she was a great English teacher, by the way, but that book really caused me to see that books were something special. So what I want to talk about now is I'm going to give you a couple of examples of books in my life, not important. All I want to do is model for you how you might curate your books in your collection in such a way that if you had to let them go or keep them, at least you and your children and your offspring will know what it was about that book that moved you and what effect did that book have in your life, period. It may not be that dramatic. It may be just, I like this book. But the ones I'm going to give you are actually a little bit more personal, and so I'll go from there. I do want to make one point. Notice that books are available now in multiple formats. You can get some of them on the internet just on a screen. You can get them on Kindles or other recording devices. This book is available on Kindle. So it's like an old friend said one time. He said, one of the things about the past generation and this generation is the past generation, the baby boomers, we're all paper trained. And it's not a bad thing, but there is something about the feel of a book for some of us that's just not, you can't replace it. But I want to make the point, though, that they can be in a digital format, and then I've become a huge fan of listening to books. This book will be on Audible as well, but then it's on my phone, and I don't have to store it. It doesn't take up space. So if you're paper trained like I am, you're going to hold on to these books till you die, and that's fine. Just keep a library, keep space for them. If you can move to a digital format, then you don't have the physical presence of the book. You've just got the book in different varieties and formats. And then finally, if you can move over to an Audible or a listening way, then you can keep the book, enjoy the book without having the physical presence of it in your life. Let me just kind of summarize by saying I'm a huge fan of books. I know I got that from our mother, who was a big fan of books, and she ended up being a librarian at the end of her life. And I just couldn't say enough about this mine attachment, this M-I-N-E, mine attachment that book lovers have to books. So it's been going on ever since Gutenberg got that press going, and I hope it goes on forever. So the next examples are going to be some examples of books that I'm attached to, and I'll tell you why. Again, just a model for you how you might do this with your books.